Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you may be in the world. I'm Sarah Jane, and this is Gift of Healing TV. I am delighted today, the fact that I am joined by Alice Terry. Alice, thank you for joining us from Australia. So yes, folks, it's 7:30 in the morning for me, and it is, what's it, 4 o'clock in the afternoon with you at the moment in Australia. It's brilliant to have you here. Thank you.
Yeah, thank
Let
you.
me introduce Alice to you. Alice is 50 years old and has been aware of her mediumship gift since she was 7 after talking to her grandfather at his own funeral. During that time, Alice has been preparing for success. An inspiring stage career has been a natural transition for Alice, having trained for and won many singing awards as a young girl. Full and varied opportunity at management level in the corporate arena has given Alice a huge advantage with her own thriving business. Alice has concentrated full-time as a medium, spiritual counselor and mentor for just over 20 years with a worldwide client base. Although fully trained in past life regression therapy, Alice has never studied mediumship, as all her talent is completely authentic. She is now a public speaker and runs her own workshops on spiritual mediumship and on personal growth and transition with her life coach and energy practitioner husband, Martin. Alice, welcome to the program and thank you for joining us.
No problem. Thank you. Really nice to be here. It's probably confusing everybody in the UK by now because I'm in Australia and yet I'm Scottish. I actually left the UK in 2007. I left the UK now, so quite a while ago now. But yeah, my accent, left Scotland in my early 20s and still got my accent. Although Scottish people will say that I'm very posh now, but you can still tell I'm Scottish, can't you?
Oh, absolutely. And you know, it's amazing how many of the guests we've had on in Australia and New Zealand have actually come from somewhere in the UK. So
yeah.
we've got a lot of those. But Alice, for our guests, for our viewers, I should say, share a little of your story. I know that within what I've just sort of read out, that you first became aware of this when you spoke to your grandfather at his funeral. But share a little of your story.
I think it's been a really interesting life for me. I always was berated for having such an over and active imagination, and I was berated for talking all the time. My whole life I was told off that I talked too much. Every report card you will see, Alice is a chatterbox. If Alice listened as much as she talked, Alice talks, Alice talks, Alice talks. Well, actually, I was talking and I was communicating with people that weren't there and I was reconfirming everything. Of course, as a young child, I didn't really know any of this. I thought this was normal. I thought that everybody saw faces in the wallpaper. It was the 70s, so we did have flowery wallpaper and flowery carpets and flowery curtains. And I thought everyone saw faces in those. So when I was lying in bed at night, I'm huddled up under the covers, just wishing that I could feel better because I just felt everyone that was looking at me and all the shapes and faces I could see in the curtains, I always felt they were coming to get me. But, you know, my mum, although my mum had an aunt who was a clairvoyant, she was quite a well-known clairvoyant in Scotland at the time. My mum always thought there was something different about me, but she would always put it down to an overactive imagination for many years, until probably not long after my granddad died. I had kept hearing him, smelling his cigarette smoke, all of that. I kept it to myself because, you know, I thought everybody could do it, sort of. Plus, I would just get told off for having such an overactive imagination. So it wasn't really until I sat opposite a lady when I was 16 and she clarified it, because my mum knew there was lots of things that happened since Grandad's funeral, lots of confirmation, which, you know, you've gone into, which is also on the website. But it wasn't really until this clairvoyant, her name was Darlinda, and she was from Glasgow, and she actually just said, why you sat at that side of the table? You need to be at this side of the table. Do you know you can do what I do and so much more? And I was like, I was almost 16. Me? Really? Are you sure? And I'd been going to Spirit Church, and I was getting quite frustrated because a lot of the mediums who were up front at Spirit Church would be giving out messages, and I was getting more, and I wanted to go and say more and say, yeah, but your dad's saying this, but he also wants you to do that, and yeah, but your dad's with his mum and his brother, and I wanted, but I mean, I think I was 13 when I was at Spirit Church, so. It wasn't really the done thing for a child of my age to be able to do that. It wasn't as acceptable. So I think the biggest difference for me now is how much more acceptable it is for children nowadays than it was in my day, and I'm still not that old. But it's amazing how in my lifetime it's gone from being, my mum saying, don't talk about it. You can't tell people, shh, we're not going to tell Auntie so and so. We're not going to tell Uncle so and so because we don't talk about it. To it's here I am. I'm out there, and this is who I am, and I can't change it. And I love it. And people often say, how do you cope with it? Can you turn it off? Of course I can't turn it off. It's just who I am. It's there all the time. Do we live together? Can I bring it into balance? Of course. And that's really important. My relationship with the souls that have passed over is just as important as the physical people in front of me. So it's up to me, the medium, to create the balance. And that's what I love helping people do when they come to see me on workshops. I'm not training people. I can train people to bring out the mediumship skills, of course, but what I'm really doing is allowing people to live their life as the best version of them, because that's something I would have liked to have happened to me when I was young. Instead of being berated for the talking and being berated for the overactive imagination, actually being able to enhance it and realize that it's okay. It's okay to be different. It's okay to shine.
Absolutely. And I think the thing is, it's so good for children to have an active imagination. An active imagination is one of the greatest benefits. I think I'm just trying to think who it was. One of the guys. It's just read your children fairy stories. Let your children have an active imagination. And if you're a parent listening to this and you've got a child that you're listening to what Alice is saying, and you're thinking, is my child like this? If my child got the gift, then it's really important not to do what so many have done, which is say, can't tell anybody about this. People have got to learn to be true to themselves. And if people hearing it don't like it, they've just got to get over it. But it's really important, isn't it, that children are encouraged to be true to the gifts that they bring.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Yeah, couldn't agree with you more. I remember when we moved to Christchurch not long after the earthquakes, my oldest son came into our bedroom one morning and he said, Mummy, there's an angel on my bed. And I said, oh yeah, cool, that's great, fantastic. And I said, oh, hang on a minute. And I got up and I went into his room and I had a sense and I saw that it was blue and that was fine. I went back into the room and I said, so what colour was it, Tom? And he said, it was blue, Mummy, it was blue, really big. And it was everything I'd gone in there and felt, he was then telling me. So rather than putting words in his mouth, I was using, my natural job, my gifts, to go in there and to see what my intuition told me. And then I asked him, and then I knew that, yep, he's not saying this because he's overheard me saying something. He's really seeing this. And in fact, both my boys are really intuitive. So I've got my work cut out for me. They're doing a lot of what I used to do. I remember I was shopping with Mum one day and I just turned to her and I said, Mum, what would you do if we got back to the car and the car was broken into? I think I was 13 actually. And she said, oh, Alice, for goodness sake, that's not going to happen, is it? And I said, I think it might be. Oh my goodness, and she was trying to shop and do other stuff. But we got back to the car and guess what? The car had been broken into and all Dad's tools and everything out the boot of the car were stolen, So if your kids start telling you things and you've got that tiny bit of doubt, check it out.
But I think that's just it, isn't it? It's sort of, life is amazing. We should listen to, even as adults, we should listen to our own intuition. We should listen to our gut instincts. If something suddenly comes to us, just go with it. I think it's really important. And the more people like yourself, myself, and sort of other guests that I've had on the program, the more that we share, the more we are encouraging people to say, okay, yes, it is okay. There are still people who will not be comfortable with it. That's their choice.
Yeah, yeah. I
It
think,
really is.
yeah, I think the what I get asked a lot is, how do I know that it's my intuition? You know, how do I know it's not from a conscious mind? And again, funnily enough, when I was a child, I had this little game that I used to play with myself. And it would be, if something I thought was a premonition, even though I didn't know that's the word for it then, but if something like that came to me, if I couldn't link it back to any thought or anything I'd been watching on television or anybody I'd just spoken to, I knew that it was my gut. I knew it was a premonition. But if I could link it to something, I would let it go. I would let it go. And I still teach that now in workshops when I'm teaching people to trust their intuition. If you can't link it to anything, then you know it's a message from your guides, from your loved ones, from spirit, from, wherever. But trust your intuition 100%. It will never let you down. And it will never, ever tell you to do something wrong. If you ever hear a voice telling you to do something wrong, it's not your intuition.
But it's also a matter of, if something is telling you to do something that will hurt you,
Yeah.
you don't do that either. And you're not going to be told to do anything to hurt anybody else.
Nah.
You're never ever going to be told things like that. Sort of, there may I do remember sort of getting with one person that I was working with them with Reiki, and I suddenly got masses of tears, and I just got in my head. Because I don't hear things. I just got in my head the word dead, and I thought, and I knew it was something to do with a child. Again, from where I was working, the areas I was working, and that was scary. I mean, it really was scary, because it was just, how do I say this? And I just said to the individual, I just said, I've got lots and lots of tears. She said, yes, my son dropped dead 2 years ago, and he was only 20.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you can actually put forward what you're getting, as you said, with your son. And it was just like, oh boy, but that came as a real shock to me. But I had to trust the instinct. I wasn't there to hurt her. She was actually there for helping to heal. And this brings me on, because actually I love the way the universe works. I really do. Because you've got a wall of remembrance.
Yes,
What's
yes, I
this?
do. It was a dream that I had, that time when you're half asleep and half awake. And the wall of remembrance is a way for me to get all over the world, which I do with my Skype and my FaceTime sessions anyway, when I travel. But the wall of remembrance is an online cemetery. It's actually an online cemetery that talks back, and it was a dream that I had, and I could see all these faces. And then every week on a Monday or a Sunday night, I'll sit in front of my wall of remembrance, and it's an actual website. It's AliceTerryWallofremembrance.com. And you go on there, you can upload your loved one's picture, and then every Sunday or Monday, I'll actually sit in front of that, and my guides will tell me, right, which letter I have to go to, because it's alphabetized. I'll click on that group, and then a picture will just jump out at me more than any of the others. Now, I don't know who this picture belongs to. I don't do any of that uploading. All I know is that this picture, which could be John Smith, who I knew this is when he was born, this is when he died, and he was a son or a husband or whatever, and he'll then start talking to me in my head. He'll then start talking to me. I'll do what I do when I do my live shows. So I then write that down like I'm doing automatic writing, and my husband actually types it up later. And he types up and then posts it on the wall of remembrance. And it's a free service that I offer. But what I like about it is that anybody can go on there. When my dad died, I had just more or less had a cesarean with my second child, and I was unable to fly, so I couldn't go back for his funeral, and I was devastated. I'm the youngest, and my dad was, such a beautiful, special man, and to not be able to get that closure, I was really upset by it. Even though I'm a medium, I was still really upset. And then it was probably about maybe 18 months to 2 years after he died that I had this dream imagine if there was somewhere online that people could go to when they can't get back to the cemetery. Because one of the nice things about going to a cemetery is I love wandering around, maybe it's just me, but I love wandering around and reading the headstones and imagining what that person was like. Well, in this day and age, bringing mediumship up to the 21st century, you go onto my wall of remembrance, not only do you see the picture of that person and everything else she's got on a gravestone, but then you get a message. You get a message for their loved ones, and anybody can read the messages. So it's unique and it's different, and it's a cemetery that talks back. So yeah, that's my wall of remembrance. I'm so proud of it, and I'm so excited. And I love when I've done a message, and then my husband will tell me later who they're for, and it's lovely when it's a client that I may have seen, or it's a student that I've not seen for 2 years. Oh, the excitement is just, I love it, because I think, oh, she's going to be so excited. I'm so glad. So yeah, no, I love it. So it's like I get to do a little bit of a mini live show in my office every week.
But I think that's lovely, because a lot of people these days, my father's not in a cemetery. His ashes are scattered in the quarry that has a little lake on Dartmoor. And so, but okay, we have to try and remind my mother, who's just turned 80 and who's got real problems with her feet. So walking to the quarry on Dartmoor really isn't very easy for her. He's not there. He's with you, wherever you are. So you don't have to go to the quarry to be with him. And it was the same as the scattering of the ashes. He died in the November, and the scattering of the ashes didn't happen, I think, till the May, because she wouldn't scatter them before because it was too cold. and not for her, but for him. But that's what we've got to realize, is how many people these days are not in a cemetery.
Yeah, that's right. My own father-in-law, he's actually scattered in New Zealand. My mother-in-law brought his ashes with us, and my husband went and scattered them at the river in the Waimakariri when we lived in New Zealand, and it was beautiful. It's a beautiful, calm day. But he's there, so the wall of remembrance is somewhere you can go when you need that human physical thing. It's something for you. But the difference is, the twist is, they talk back. So there's quite a few messages on there now. It's been going for, the new website's almost been going for a year, but it was had been a page within my website for about maybe 3 years before that. So it's really nice starting to gather even more momentum, which I love. And there is actually one video that's been done on there. The Spirit are still very happy with me doing the automatic writing. So I'm sure it will progress to more videos, but at the moment it's still the writing. They still like doing that. So yeah, but I love it, and I'm so proud of it. I like going there and reading the messages, and I've written them. I've been the channel to write them, but I still like reading them. Yeah. But I think the other thing that's is really important is when someone's loved one does choose to come through to a medium, they're always going to tell you something for your highest and greatest good. There are a lot of charlatans out there, unfortunately, but then that's in every industry. But the love that your loved ones bring through is so intense that the messages they bring, if they wanted to say to you, if I saw and felt, oh, my daughter's got breast cancer, you have to tell her, I'm not going to say, oh my God, got breast cancer, go and get it checked out. I'm going to say, I've got a feeling that someone's got a lump. You might want to, you or someone around you, I'm being drawn to a lump in the right breast. You might want to go and check it out. And, I've had emails afterwards saying, Alice, thank you so much. I didn't go, I was putting off, I was too scared, but it's benign, or I had it taken away and I'm fine now. And, that's when what I do. Yeah, I don't know what I was going to say, but it just came.
And I think that's just it, isn't it? It's just trusting, sort of what we get. It was quite amusing, really. My great niece, my oldest great niece, she wasn't very old when my dad died, but the day he died, my niece and great niece were out for a walk, and she saw him.
Oh, nice.
And then the day of the funeral, she was aware of him outside the block of flats with a dog. Now, she had no idea about the dog. My youngest sister, who actually introduced me to this, she does writings herself. She does automatic writings. She does channel messages. Well, so do I in my own way. And she said to me, "Dad's outside with the dog," and it was Shay, and Mia had never ever ever met Shay. I don't think she'd even seen a picture of Shay, so she couldn't have known. And Jackie said, "I don't think Dad will come in because of the dog, because they weren't allowed dogs in the flats." Shay had died before they moved into the flats. And I said, "Well," and I said, "Well, why didn't you invite him in?" She said, "Well, will you do it?" And it's just like, so she doesn't, she does know about her gift, but she's wary of it. It's like saying to her, "Ask your angels support." Well, will you ask them for me? No, you have to ask yourself. And
Right.
that's the truth, isn't it? We have to ask for ourselves. It
Yeah.
isn't about asking anybody to do anything for us. And this is the whole thing about life. Life is about what can you do to help yourself. It is not about getting other people to do things for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so actually, so maybe that brings us nicely in, because you say you've got an online boot camp.
Oh yeah, yes, yeah. So again, this is another downloaded idea for me to run with, which I've now done. Basically, it runs for 10 weeks, and it's self-development, but it's not self-development like anything anyone's ever experienced before. This is going to take you outside your comfort zone. So anybody who has ever wanted to do anything spiritual, who's in the spiritual field and feels stuck, who's looking to really push their intuition and wants a boot camp for their intuition, that's exactly what it is. You do it at your own time. Every single day there's a message, an exercise comes from me in a private closed group. At the moment, I think we've got nearly 40 people in the group that's running right now. The next one is due to start on the 7th of October. It's a private closed group. Every day there's an exercise, really good spiritual habits to get into, really good spiritual practices, and an exercise. There are, throughout the whole 10 weeks, there are visualization, deep chakra cleansing. It's based a lot around your chakra or your energy centers. If you don't know what chakras are, let's just call them your main batteries, your emotional batteries. And it's a real kick up the bum for all of that. And I think even when I was writing it and I was downloading it, it's gathered, oh my goodness, arms and feet and legs, and my goodness, it's gone huge, and it's amazing. And again, the plan is that people can then come to me, or I can go to them rather than them having to come to me. The issues that I was finding was that people wanted to do my level 1, 2, and 3, or any other workshops, but they couldn't always get the day off or couldn't come for that weekend. Well, this is now a chance to have me in your living room every single day at a time that suits you. And then once a week, we do a live question and answer session. And that's the whole boot camp is run with myself and my husband. And then once a week, we have a live question and answer, which is proving to be a huge success, where people, very similar to what you and I are doing right now, they'll send in questions and we're answering them, questions that have come up. And so they've got that ongoing support for 10 weeks. And then after the 10 weeks, they'll be moved over to the website. And I can't tell you too much because that's a surprise for everyone yet, but there's more coming. So this isn't just me saying, come along, do my workshop for a weekend, you'll feel fantastic, and go back to everyday life. This is part of your everyday life.
Yes.
This is exercise for your intuition. This is just like your muscles, just like healthy eating, because mind, body, and spirit, all three are equally important. And that's why I came up with this idea.
And it is so true. It is about, do you know what, folks? If you're going through stuff at the moment, if there's anything resonating here, whether it's with Alice, whether it's something else, just it's about stopping and listening to your body, to your spirit, to your heart. What's resonating with you? What's helping you to truly feel? And it's help yourself. don't look outside you, look inside you. And this type of thing, things like the boot camp, can really help you to reconnect with yourself, with your soul, with your spirit, that part of you that never dies.
Yeah.
People seem, we've got to get it the right way round. We are a spiritual being having a physical experience.
In a human
We are,
suit.
yeah, yeah, a, 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 a bag of bones, you know. We are individual souls, and we are all very, very special, and we shouldn't be told any different by anybody. And anything that can help us to help ourselves is really important.
I think the when I was writing the boot camp, Spirit were very kind. They even downloaded a strapline for me, and the advertising strapline was "Creating change inside creates change outside," and that's something that's very, very, very important for me, because it isn't about blaming other people. It isn't the external is the reflection of what's going on internally, rightly or wrongly, whether you like it or not. Unfortunately, that is the reality. You know, that is your personal reality. It really is. So the boot camp is really about creating that change inside, which will then, without you doing anything, create the change outside. It changes how you look at relationships. It changes your relationship with yourself first and foremost, but then it changes how you look at relationships. It changes your relationships, not just with people, but with food, but with your body, with your job, with everything, you know, and that's what's missing. That's how, when people say, what's I want to know my life's purpose. And, I get a lot of people asking me, what's my life purpose? If you're a medium, then what's my life's purpose? What do you want it to be? Who are you? What do you want it to be? I can't tell you. You can tell me. You can create that change to follow that through yourself. It is a free will society. Completely. Yeah.
I also think, though, that when it comes to knowing life purpose, it isn't just a matter of, right, I'm thinking about it. What is my life purpose? And expecting it to come.
Mm-hmm.
I had a friend who was constantly saying, you don't like what you're doing. You hate what you're doing. What do you want to do? I could tell you everything I didn't want to do, but isn't that just typical of how humans are? When you're asked about something, you tell people what you don't want. You don't tell them what you do want. You tell them what you don't want. And do you know what? You have to be patient. It did come to me. It came to me, if you like, in sections. It didn't come to me all in one go. And new things will crop up within that.
Mm-hmm.
They really will crop up within that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it is so about trusting that it will not necessarily all come in one go. But the only way you are going to discover it is by doing things, experiencing things, finding what you enjoy and what speaks to you and what feels right for you.
Yeah, and I think what's really important is being in your flow. That's what my husband and I talk about all the time. It's if you really feel that you're getting obstacle after obstacle after obstacle, you're not going with the flow. You're not going with who you really are. You have to stop and ask yourself some of those hard questions and really look within, because life isn't about pushing the river. Life is going with the river, and it really is. And when you start riding instead of fighting, everything that you want starts falling into place. It might not be exactly how you want it, and it's bit by bit by bit, but it does start happening 100%. So yeah. Anyway, I think that it's
No, carry on.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's really important that we go back to the intuition, because that is the key for everyone is trusting your intuition. People will come to see me because they trust my intuition. If I'm doing a live show, if I'm doing a one-on-one session with someone, they've come to me through word of mouth, or they like what they've read on the website, or they've seen one of my videos, and there's something in them. Their intuition is saying, yep, she's definitely the right one for me. The most simplest way to start using your intuition is to ask your parking angel. And there are still a lot of people out there who don't know about the parking angel. And I love seeing hearing afterwards and seeing the lights go on when you mention, or an aha moment when you mention parking angel. So everyone that's tuning into this, if you don't know about it, this is the best way to start using your intuition. So you're going to the mall, you're going to the shops, you're going to the doctors, whatever you're doing, you're in the car, start imagining where you would like a parking space. And imagine it in your mind. And know that you're going to get a space there. Parking angel, can I have a space, please? And I promise you, 99.8% of the time, you will get a parking spot right out front of where you want to be. You may have to drive around the block once, but you will. I have never, ever, in all the years I've done this, I've never not had the park I want. Always. And now that my children and my husband do it as well, sometimes we'll have 4 spaces, and I'll say, how many people asked? 4 people will pull out. So we have quite fun with it, but it's a brilliant way to start dipping your toe in the water with your intuition. And then you can start asking your finding angel when you've lost something. If you've misplaced your keys or misplaced your glasses, the minute you say, finding angel, where's my keys, where are my glasses, and let it go, guess what happens? You're not holding on to it anymore. The universe and your guides can come along and go, why don't you just check that coat pocket? Because being a medium and a psychic, I get a lot of people saying, oh, I've lost this necklace, I've lost this, I've lost that. So I tell them what I'm telling you now, but then I'll also ask my guides and I'll let it go. And it might be a couple of hours later in the day, I'll just see it and I'll get a flash. I had a student who'd lost her camera and she'd lost it for ages. And I said, okay, ask your finding angel and I'll ask as well. And then I just saw this black pocket. And I said, but it's not a coat pocket. It was in her sports bag. She'd put it in there when she'd gone to the gym and forgotten all about it. And her bag was black and it was in there. And so it's trust your intuition 100%. It works for me.
Absolutely. Parking. Oh, I've been using the parking angels. Sorry, didn't mind asking the parking angels for a long time. And a few years back, I was meeting a whole group of friends down on the seafront, and it was actually the 2nd of October, which was a Sunday, and the weather was glorious. In fact, the world and his wife was out that day. And as I was driving, I was thinking, oh, everybody's out. Parking is going to be impossible. And it was like, okay, angels, please help me to meet my friends on time and a parking space. And I knew where I wanted the parking space. That was the order I asked. And that is very important, folks. Think about the order you ask for things in. There were no parking spaces, so I thought, right, I've got to drive to where I'm going to meet them, because luckily I could drive close enough to where I was going to meet them. Saw them and just said, look, really sorry, I am here. You just start walking. I will try and catch up with you. I've got to go and find a parking space. I drove back along up the road I wished, and somebody was pulling out. So I was able to park where I'd wanted a parking space. Yeah. But I asked for the meeting them on time first and the parking space second. If only I'd asked for the parking space first and meeting them on time second, that would have been the way round it had. So I thought it was absolutely hilarious. They listened to exactly what I had asked for. And that's what you've got to realize, folks, is think about what you're asking.
Absolutely. Because if you want to bring some abundance, bring some money into your life, you've got to be careful that your house doesn't burn down, your insurance pays you out. It's always got to be for your highest and greatest good. So if you are trying to bring anything into your life, always thank you, always please, and always for your highest and greatest good. Yeah, and that tends to tick all the boxes and keep you safe.
And yeah, when it comes to money, I also don't want to lose anybody either. So
Yeah,
I,
that's right.
I,
Yeah,
I am quite happy to win it or
yeah.
earn it. That's the route. Thank you. Okay, and I'm glad we brought some humor into this because do you know what? Life isn't meant to be serious,
Oh,
and all of this isn't meant to be about being serious. It's meant to be about having fun in life, relaxing in life, enjoying life, and finding peace.
yeah.
It's all of those things.
And that's actually really interesting that you should say that, Sarah Jane, because I was doing a show quite recently, and it was getting quite near the end of the night, and I had this very, very young energy come through, and I thought, oh gosh, this feels like a child, and it was very, very young, and all she was doing was going on, off, and she was jumping up and down, she was going on, off, and I thought, what is she doing? And then I took on more about her, and I realised who I was going to in the audience, and I went to that lady in the audience, and then she told me she was actually playing with the life support machine. And sadly, her mum she was 13 years old, and her mum had to turn off her life support machine. But she was a cheeky little monkey, and she always had been her whole life. And because she was bringing the humour into it with the on, off, her mum knew it was really her. And the relief on her mum's face, and her mum and her brothers and sisters and her father have been able, and I'm so grateful, to move forward with their life. They'll never forget her. It doesn't mean that, but they've been stuck for 10 years until her little girl came through and said, Mum, what are you doing? Like, this is all it was. It's fine. You know me. So I love that when spirit are working through me and your loved ones come through and they bring the humour at the really difficult times. There was quickly another really amazing example. I had this client in front of me, and the first thing her husband did when he came through was he took his false teeth out. And I went, oh my God, I said, I've got this man, and I described him, I said, and he's just taken his teeth out. And she burst into tears because that meant everything to her, you know? But it's like, you know, here's this woman desperate to hear from her husband, missed him to bits, and to lighten it, he took his teeth out because he knew that would get to her, you know? So humor is so important in the work that I do, not to belittle it, but to bring the love in, because that's what humour does. It brings in lightness of energy, and it brings in love. And I'm all about bringing in the love between the two worlds.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We've got a little bit of time left, not a lot. We've got a little bit of time left. And I would like to ask you at the end, if there's anything, folks, I know there's people watching. If you've got a question, ask it now, please. It is really important to ask it now. Just type into the box and ask it now. If you're just happy listening, that's fine. The question I'm going to ask you at the end is if there's anything that we've missed that you'd like to share. But actually, what I'd like to say, have you got a guide or a guardian or somebody who would just like to share something brief with everybody listening right now?
Can you hear that interference? There's quite a bit of crackling and interference. Are you hearing that when you're talking? If you're not, it's fine, but it's quite disconcerting. And it could actually just be the energy. Could just be all our guides coming in.
Yeah, no, I'm aware.
Right. Okay. Cool. Look, I think what's really important is that at the moment there is so much change going on in life. There's so much fear going on in the world. And the one thing that my guides are always telling me to share is that fear stands for false evidence appearing real. So we've got horrendous things going on with terrorism. We've got horrendous things in politics that are going on. And all my guides keep telling me to do is to shine your light. You can't be responsible for anyone else. You can't change the world. What you can do is change the world inside of you, which changes the world outside of you, which is what we spoke about earlier. Yeah. So it's really important that in these really fearful times when Mother Nature is having to have tsunamis to clear things, having to have hurricanes, having to have floods to clear things. And look, I've lived through all the Christchurch earthquakes. So, you know, I really get Mother Nature having to have that stretch and the fear that's involved in all of that. But what gets you through it is coming together, that real coming togetherness. And the internet, love it or loathe it, is actually bringing us together. So the more you share work that Sarah Jane does, the more you share work that I do, the more we can actually get that message of love, if you like, out there. You know, the Beatles were bang on the money when they said love is all you need. They were bang on the money, because when somebody passes over, all their loved ones bring to me is unconditional love. Whether they were perpetrator, whether they were victim, it's unconditional love. That is the energy that we are left with when this physical has gone. So all I'd say is, in these tumultuous times that some of you are experiencing, stop, breathe, and focus on the little things around you that are working. Even if you're just grateful for the fact the sky was blue, or that you were warm, or that you were dry on a wet day, that is enough. But being grateful brings love. And when you bring love, you bring balance back to your life, to everyone that's in touch with your life, and it then allows them to do that as well. So that would be my message. Look after you, put your own oxygen mask on first, and then you'll serve others without even having to bat an eyelid.
Absolutely. Absolutely. False evidence appearing real is exactly the meaning I always use for fear. While you were saying that, I'm going to trust what I saw, okay? There was just a little light that suddenly seemed to travel down and then disappear. Just like a little pinprick. Sort of almost like a sort of comet flitting past the earth. And it sort of came down and it was sort of that angle sort of down past your head. And it was just like, okay, I'm going to trust. So, you know, it may be that there are orbs or whatever. Well, there are always orbs around us, aren't they? And I've been photographing orbs for years, well before I even knew what they were. I thought they were all spots of water, because I always loved photographing rivers and streams and waterfalls and sort of types of things. Oh, another speck of water on. Why is that? It was always orbs from in my teens. So we're going back a very long time. And I've probably still got some of those photos somewhere, but I'd have to fish them out.
So digital cameras brought all that to us. Digital cameras is when we started being able to see the orbs. My first house in. Oh yeah, well, good, awesome.
Yeah.
When I was selling my first house in New Zealand, they put up huge big sailboards at the bottom of driveways, and they have all the big pictures up. And students that were coming to the house, I used to run a group from my house, and they were coming in saying, "Oh, there's orbs, there's spirit on your pictures." The estate agent came round and she said, "Now, I know that the picture's got some flaws on it. I'm having a new one redone." I said, "Don't." And she knew what I did. And I explained it to her. And she said, "I thought my camera was broken." I said, "No, that's all it is." And then she said, "But you will take them with you when you go, won't you?" I said, "Of course, it's fine. It'll be all clear. Don't worry." So I love orbs. So I think anybody who's listening to this, if you haven't seen the circle on your photographs yet, go back and have a look. They're amazing, and it's so exciting when you see them. I've had people bring me wedding photographs, and there's an orb right in between the bride and groom, and her dad's in spirit, or mum's in spirit, or grandma died a few days before. And I just love it when you find the orbs. It's so exciting. Yeah, we can have a whole program just on orbs.
Oh, brilliant. No, seriously, I have been photographing orbs since I said sort of my teens, and I'm 59 now, so there is no way.
It's awesome. I love it.
It's a very long time. Right. Is there anything you would like to share with us that we haven't touched on, because we are sort of coming towards the close of the program?
Look, I think that the most important thing is, if you're watching this and I'm resonating with you, email me. If you're listening to this and you want to know more about your spiritual development, know more about your mediumship development, email me. call me. Make contact in whatever way you choose. But if I'm resonating with you, then that means I'm the right person for you. The old saying is, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. It's exactly the same. If you've lost someone in spirit and you've been trying to find a medium and you just happen to come across this video and you like my energy, then maybe I'm the medium for you. So maybe the Wall of Remembrance is a great way to start if you're too afraid. But there's nothing to be afraid of. Your loved ones will never tell you anything that you can't deal with, because that would just be cruel. That would just be cruel. A lot of people who come to me for the first time, they'll say, "Oh, what if you tell me something bad?" And I'll say, "Look, if you would benefit from being told you're going to be hit by a bus tomorrow, I would say to you, avoid the number 27 or whatever it was, and you could do something about it." But if there's nothing you can do about it, why on earth? That wouldn't be a gift. Why would they tell me? If it was meant to be your last day, there'd be other things they'd come through and tell you. So if this is resonating with you, then please make contact with me. I'd love to hear from you. Sarah Jane, it's been a real joy. Thank you so much for having me. And hopefully we'll do something else in the future.
It has been an absolute pleasure. It really has. For those of you watching live, I've just put Alice's website addresses up onto the side panel. It's aliceterry.com, and then there's aliceterrywallofremembrance.com, and there's lifesoul.net. I will give the video on YouTube a chance to get up. I will put that information underneath as well, and I'm sure people can connect with you through any of those websites. Is that right?
Yeah. I have a Facebook page as well, and I'm on Instagram. I'm always posting things as and when it feels appropriate. So yeah, check it out, and I'd look forward to touching base.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Alice, for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure. Folks, thank you for being here, joining us live, and for those of you that watch us later. And you were talking just now, I saw another one of those whatevers go past. So there's yeah, that's
it's energy, Jane. It's energy. This is my work. Yeah. Because this is my work. Right. Yeah. Sorry.
That's okay. Wednesday next week, I am being joined by Jackie Bent for one of our thoughtful nuggets and pearls. The topic is going to be charity. What does charity mean to you? And there is a very good possibility Friday this week, I'm going to be doing a special with my friend Junie Moon Schreiber. Her book's coming out, and she's going to be doing, I can't remember the name of it right offhand, so watch out. There could be a special at 6 p.m. UK time on Friday that hasn't hit the website yet. And if you're watching this well after the event, if it's happened, it will be on our catch-up pages on the Thoughtful Nuggets and Pearls page. So do go and check out our website, check out Alice's website. Do connect with her. If you've got any questions for me also, if you're not sure about contacting Alice, can contact me first and I will forward them. That's fine. I'm happy to do that. Thank you all. Alice, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I've really enjoyed it. A little bit of home.
Yes, even though I'm in the south of the country, not in Scotland, but
yeah, but I don't live in Sussex.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Alice. We will see you all again soon. Love, peace and light to you all. Namaste.